Hey guys, I just wanted to do a condensed review for Legends of Tomorrow, Season 2, Episodes 3 through 6, which includes Shogun, Abominations, Compromised, and Outlaw Country. Now, basically, Vixen sneaks onto the ship because when Our Man's last words were time traveler, she assumes that it was the Legends responsible and ends up not, beating them up and knocking them all out, except for Nate, who, as a side effect of the serum he got to cure his hemophilia back in 1942, he has the ability to turn his entire body into steel. Ends up knocking out Vixen, and they're able to put her in a cargo hold long enough for Sarah to reason with her and get her to calm down, and she ends up becoming a member of the team. And because after discovering his newfound powers, Ray and Nate are dicking around in the cargo bay, and they end up opening the cargo bay doors, and Nate ends up falling out through the time stream into feudal Japan in 1641, and Ray goes after him, and then the team is forced to go after him, and then that's when Nate ends up meeting Ichiro, and then Ichiro's daughter, and then also meeting the shogun of that region, who is Tokugawa. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that, but he tries to use his powers against the shogun to prevent her from getting kidnapped, but he can't able to maintain his powers at will yet. Nate, so she ends up getting kidnapped. The shogun ends up getting getting Ray's armor. And Ray, reluctantly, knowing that the Shogun won't give it up willingly, has to learn to sword fight from Ocharo, and basically teaching Nate the same thing in order to learn how to destroy the suit, which they eventually do. And it turns out that they're the ancestors of Tatsu Katana in modern day. They're the Yamashiros. So it was nice. That was a nice little love letter to, I guess, basically show, those old Japanese films with shoguns, and it starts to, and they have Vixen start to act less like a jerk because she was able to get throwing star for Mick just because he wanted proof they met real life ninjas, and they ended up going to Mississippi in 1863 because a time pirate ends up crash landing there and carrying a virus that starts turning Confederates into zombies, and someone who's supposed to deliver a letter to the Confederates' next military move during the war ends up accidentally getting killed. So it becomes the Legends' job to do that. So Nate and Sarah work with Ulysses S. Grant, who's still a general at the time, to fight off the zombies, while basically Jackson, Vixen come to a mansion with slaves there, and Vixen wants to free them. Jack says he doesn't want to mess with the timeline, but ends up getting kidnapped and I guess presumably whipped off screen. And I was impressed how dark it was and how able they were to sensitive they were about handling the whole situation. And it was only when one of the slaves recognized Vixen's necklace that she knew of what it was, what it meant, and they decided, screw it, we're just going to free the slaves. And when the zombies started attacking, and when the slave owners asked for help, they just leave them to die, and deservedly so. Even though they basically try to help him, even though he wasn't grateful for their help, and they basically tried to help fend them off, they decided to just leave him to die, basically, and deservedly so. And it made me, the fact that they handled and they were also able to they was also able to, I guess, like create a distraction in which he would lay on top of an explosive, or like an explosive, I guess, nitro liquid or something, and then the crate exploded and killed the zombies, and they were able to disperse a cure eventually. But the fact they were able to handle it so sensitive about the issue, it made me hate Mark Guggenheim a little less, and maybe it's like, okay, there's more. Okay, now I just expect more out of him, and just maybe he can like do. Maybe he has potential to be a better writer, because I haven't been happy with anything he's been doing on Arrow. And then they go to 1987, where Damien Darhk is working as an advisor to Ronald Reagan, and of course Sarah is just hell bent on just killing him at the expense of the mission, and puts everybody in danger, or almost getting captured. And Stein has to give her a lecture about not trying to mess with the timeline, and Damien Darhk's there, trying to convince him to work with him again, but Darhk's reluctant. He's been trying to like sell weapons under the table to the KGB agents, and also tried to like set off a bomb that's supposed to blow up a White House dinner event, and they end up encountering the young Martin Stein again and his wife Clarissa, and he ends up getting stabbed, and the young Stein ends up getting stabbed by Damien Darhk when he starts following him to his mission with a KGB agent, and knows too much, and Stein ends up chastising him for I guess just putting, like, not meeting Clarissa at the dinner event to take her away from there, and putting her in danger, and chastising him, saying that there's nothing more important than, no award or scientific achievement is more important than Clarissa. You have to spend more time with her and cherish her and show her that. And Sarah makes the really stupid decision to tell Damien Darhk, instead of killing him, just tell him everything about his future and everything that happens in the last 2 episodes of Arrow Season 4. And that even though she knows that he's working with a time traveler, and Thawne comes in and grabs him, and Sarah tells Nate that their enemy is a speedster, and Nate asks, like the Flash, and she says, faster. And I'm like, okay, she's never met Barry as far as we know, so how the fuck would she gauge that? And that's the part where it's just like, it's kind of like plot-induced stupidity. She might as well have just killed him, considering now it motivates Darhk to join the team up with Thawne, and so he actually has a time spirit similar to the one from the Flash Season 1 finale, and they both end up traveling through time. And then we have an issue. Then episode 6 ends up with another time pirate traveling to the Old West, and he ends up getting killed by I guess an arch enemy of. He's basically supposed to be an arch enemy of Jonah Hex. The man's name is Turnbull. He's an arch enemy of Jonah Hex, and so, because the Time Pirate was tracking Dwarf Star Alloy, Turnbull ends up using the same device to find it, and he makes bullets that can explode into blue flames on contact, and it also penetrates Nate's chrome skin, and it leads to an aberration in which he uses the Dwarf Star to take over anything west of the Rocky Mountains, turn into Turnbull country, and so the Legends travel to Colorado, 1874, where they once again encounter Jonah Hex, and they basically have to stop him from. They basically have to stop Turnbull from extracting the Dwarf Star alloy, and so Mick and Vixen end up destroying some of the mines of the remaining, the remaining Dwarf Star and also to cause a distraction for Turnbull at his camp. And Nate uses his powers to stop the train delivering the Dwarf Star. And instead of Jonah Hex killing Turnbull for murdering all these people, murdering an entire village, that he decides to turn him over to the authorities. And that was probably the least, and I think Outlaw Country, the 6th episode, was like the least memorable, my least favorite episode of the whole season thus far. And it allows Ray to make another suit using the Dwarf Star and also make a suit for Nate, which kind of looks like a bulky version of, I don't know, it was like a cross between Mega Man and Captain America or something. I wasn't a fan of it. It looks, at least the helm looks very bulky. But I felt like, I'm starting to she seems very cold, and you learn through, I guess, episode 5 how she was in a relationship with Hourman, and she ended up getting help from Obsidian during the fight with Damien Dark, but decides his days of fighting are over because he's older and he has a husband to go home to, and also, I don't know, she's starting to sort of like become less cold, and I'm glad they had Nate to the team because Rip was always kind of like stuffy British dude and kind of a lame ass and couldn't lead the team, and it was like pretty incompetent as a job, and Sarah's like a much better leader, and I feel like getting rid of Rip allows the team to sort of like gave them more character development and realize that when they don't have Rip to, babysit them and pick up the pieces for them, they gotta have to, grow up in a sense and learn, for lack of better terms, learn from their own mistakes. And, Nate is like the complete opposite of Rip, who's kind of just like revels in the idea that oh my god, you guys were like time traveling superheroes. How awesome is that? And it just brings a new energy to the show that feels like it helps make this so much stronger. So what do you guys think? Do you like Vixen? Do you like Nate? What was your favorite episode out of the 4? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Is there anything we got to talk about? Feel free to mention it or correct me, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.